What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 2020 Mid-America Open Pro Masters Weekend, sponsored by Discraft here at Harmony Benz in Columbia, Missouri. This is a preview event for the 2021 Tim Selinsky U.S. Masters Major that is being held here. Everybody was so excited to play still remaining this year with everything that's been going on. They decided to do a preview event. Should be a good field. We have George Smith, Kansas City's own Jake Bowen, Discraft sponsored Adam Olsen from Iowa, and St. Louis legend Roger Reyes. All right, here we are. Hole 1's a par 5, 843 feet. As you will see through most of this course, there is tight woods on the left and the right. But hole 1, we got to clear 2 creeks. Some people will, or 2 ponds, rivers. Some people will lay up, some people will go for it. But either way, that second shot's going to require you to lay up or land around this area if you want the chance for the birdie. Then you can see there's OB along the right, along with an elevated green right here at the top. It's definitely takes finesse and good shots to execute to get that birdie, but even the par, a lot of people will not even get a par on the hole. It can definitely be a tough hole. But George Smith, local native to Columbia, I'm not sure if he was laying up or going for it off the tee, but he turns it over a little bit. He's going to come up just short of that second creek. He is safe, but he is in the woods. However, Jake Bowen wasn't scared at all. He was going for it and clears it by a country mile. Country mile might be a relative term. As you can see, Adam's definitely laying up, but probably a little more left than he was meaning to go, I'm guessing, just because he's inside this little cluster of trees. It just adds a few more obstacles for that second shot. And Roger, with the overpowering, I'm pretty sure he was going for it, slips, goes out of bounds. He was telling me later on that he had some brand new shoes and wasn't ready for the grip that it was going to give him. But it will cost him a stroke with that out of bounds throw. And as I said in the preview, there's a landing zone around the corner of the creek on the right side if you want the opportunity to go for it for your third shot to get the birdie. George had to throw a forehand roller. He's going to leave himself a little bit more left than he wants to go. Roger went a little bit left, and Adam even went left. I'm going to guess there's some type of vortex over there that's just causing those discs to go that way. And however, Jake goes to the left, but he sets it up for the way that he wants to. He got farther distance. And George looked like he was going to go for it or try to give it a chance. He hit that tree. Roger is definitely going for it. Throws it a little bit low. Is going to find himself OB for the second time on this hole. It's such a beautiful green to try to attempt to land onto. It can be definitely scary, especially being the first hole of the tournament or the first hole of even the round. It can kind of dictate or set the pace for what your round's going to be like. And Mr. Jake is up on the green. He's going to leave himself a little bit of long putt, but probably still right, well, I guess he's probably about 20-25 to try to get the birdie putt. So definitely well within range. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but Roger Reyes' hat flies off after almost every throw. We should do a over-under. And booyah! Birdie putt for Jake. Just doing over-under for Roger Reyes on how many times his hat flies off during the round. And Adam coming up just a hair short on that putt. Even, -1, +1, +2. Little note, Jake Bowen was the only birdie out of the entire MP40 division on hole 1. Here we are, hole 2, par 4, 541 feet. Just like I said in hole 1, you can see the left and the right can be a little treacherous if you get off the path, but really you're trying to throw the path, land about right here to give yourself a second shot of this nice left to right churn. Still just having to hit that line perfect. And then you can see the basket up to the right, right up against an OB line. So you're definitely going to have to make a decision when it comes to putting what you're going to do. One of the really cool parts about this course that I think more than any other course is it really requires that you need to know the line. If like there, George threw a roller. This is home course. I'm sure he's done that 100 times, so he knew the result. But if you're not really good with controlling that line, you're going to find yourself scrambling a lot. And one of the things I've learned is you learn to scramble because you are in trouble a lot. At least that's in my world. So having a scramble skill on courses like this is definitely beneficial. But obviously the goal is to not have to scramble more than you need to. And there's George throwing the forehand roller because he was in trouble a little bit along the right. And he's still going to find himself along the right, going for his third shot. Rogers with a beautiful drive. And second shot's putting it right in the middle. He's playing the hole the way it was meant to be thrown. And as we can see, there's a lot of wood chopping going on in this hole. But George with a beautiful turnover outside the woods. And as we'll see again, that OB being so close and dangerous, most of these guys are just going to lay up, take the stroke that they need to. Jake's going to knock out the par. And George is coming a little bit low. Don't know if that was a slip or if he was playing a little softer because of that out of bounds. Either way, it's going to come up a hair short for him. George taking the bogey. Jake going to stay at -1. Adam's going to take the bogey, and Roger's going to take the par. +1, -1, +2, +2. That hole playing about a little over half a stroke above par. Hole 3 is one of the shorter holes, par 3, 240 feet. It goes up this slight elevated hole to get to the top of the crest here before it drops. Can be very treacherous to that cabbage along the right side, that green. As you go to the right, it just inclines at the elevation you can see now. And then the rocks behind it is another drop off. So although it's short, you still, just like the other holes, you have to hit the line properly. And Jake, who hit an early tree, luckily is going to stay in the center. As opposed to Roger, you saw him kick the tree, and he is off to the right. So he's going to have to scramble a little bit. And then George just says, hey, this is how you do this. I'm just going to throw it right up the middle. Perfect. Adam releasing that a little bit early is also going to go down into the trees. And there's Roger with an overhand shot to get out of trouble. And again, those scramble skills paying off beautifully. AO, Adam Olsen, is going to throw an upside down shot to get out of trouble, and looks like he'll be just fine. And Roger saving the par. And George knocking down the beautiful birdie. Beautiful drive. Well deserved. I said you can get in a lot of trouble, but if you can scramble on those right, like Roger and Adam did, you can still recover the par. But more times than not, people will probably not get the par. Even -1, +2, +2. And this hole averages almost a perfect par 3. Just a hair underneath. Hole 4, par 3, 256. Again, not very far. Left and right can be a little treacherous if you don't hit the line, but really you just got to crest this hill, throw a putter or something slow, and get it to glide straight right at the basket. It is blind off the tee, but probably one of the more fun ace runnable style shots on this course. These guys are playing all the blue pads. The pin positions are not in the gold positions. I don't know what they call them, the normal positions. You see George throwing his putter, stalling, hitting a tree, and putting them in good position. However, Jake's turning that over a little bit more than he wants to. Not hitting anything, hitting that pretty clean. It's going to leave him an awkward putt or a longer downhill style putt. And Roger must be listening to me because he threw that perfectly. Putter right up the middle, just glided right over that crest next to the basket. Adam doing the same thing, but it looks like a little bit more overstable disc because it's going to fade out here towards the end. But he's going to hit a tree, and that's going to give him a little bit better look. And George with the back-to-back birdies. A couple pars for Adam and Jake. And Roger with the near tap-in 2 to go -1, -1, +2, +1. And that hole is also averaging just a hair under par. So no triple bogeys or quad bogeys on that hole throughout the entire day. Hole 5, par 4, 492 foot. Can be tricky. It's pretty elevated off the tee. You want to land about in this area before you go left or right. If you don't get to the top of the hill, you're going to have some awkward footing. If you get to the top of the hill, make it a little bit easier. Doesn't mean you can't get the shot, just takes a little bit more skill. And then you can see the incline behind it if you go too far. George throwing nearly the line he wants. I think he put a little nose down to the right, so it's going to dive down, but he does make it to over the rocks, slightly up the hill. Again, he's going to have a little bit of footing, probably have to do some type of standstill. Very similar to what Roger did right there. You need to get that disc to flex to get up that hill. Or you can do a big turn over there like Jake. Who's going to get very much similar, the same result. And oh, Adams churned that over way too much. Puts himself right into the middle of Four's fairway. See how close he is to Four's basket. But luckily he has that clean Four's fairway to get up towards the basket. And you can see this incline Roger's standing on. Hard to run up. Have to do a standstill. But there is some room to let that disc fly. So this course will require every aspect of your game. You can see Adam way off to the right through the woods, found his way to the basket, so he will be putting for 4. George putting for the birdie and just coming up short as he hits the center of the cage. Jake with the birdie putt. Beautiful putt. Roger coming up a hair short again, hitting that left side of that cage. Hasn't quite got it dialed in yet. And Adam with a beautiful save considering he had to go up Four's fairway to play this hole. Anybody can play up the way the course was designed, right? So hole 5, -1, -2, +2, +2. Fun note, Justin McClune, who's not on this card, was the sole birdie. And as this hole averages just over par as well. Hole 6, par 3, 312 feet. Straight tunnel shot. Again, it's pretty extreme to the right. You pretty much just want to follow this walking path we're flying over in this dead tree that's right in front of us. You want to hook right in front of it to give yourself an opportunity right at the basket. And I retract my Justin McClune comment from the hole before. I was looking at the round 2 stats. I am way ahead of what I'm commentating on. This hole here is pretty much a right to left. You get a little bit of height there like Adam did, but you're really having to come in at a pretty vertical angle to get it to churn. You can throw it flat, but you really need it to churn there at the end. But it's pretty common for a lot of people to land right around this putting zone. Making for a long putt, not an easy putt. Eliminates the birdie a little bit. Roger, who had the opportunity there, is going to go a little bit face masks. George knocking out the par. Adam knocking out the par. Jake parring out, and Roger with the solo bogey. 0.14 over par average on this hole as we go into hole 7. Hole 7's a 417-foot par 3. It's kind of like hole 4. You got to throw it straight, get to the crest of this hill, and then it drops. Definitely a little bit farther. Once you clear the opening, though, it does open up quite a bit more. Not nearly as much trouble as far as the wood lines along to the left. So it's an opportunity to sail one and really get one to flex if you want to try to get that birdie opportunity. And Jake with the beautiful turnover. Not sure he meant to quite go as tight through these trees as he did there, but either way it works, and he's going to give himself a putting opportunity. George also the beautiful lines, going to leave himself a big putt still, but he's definitely in putting range. And Adam, who's going to hit the early tree, but it drops him straight down. You never know what you're going to get on these tree kicks. If you can get it to drop you into the fairway, it's still a blessing. And Roger hitting the line cleanly and flaring off to the left. There's a path over there. He'll still have an easy up and down, but a tougher par putt. AO with the par save. And Jake with the 2, and he is the only 2 on hole 7 during round 1 out of all the MP40 division. Out of all the holes, there's only 3 holes that had a solo birdie, and Jake got it on hole 1 and 6. And I guess we'll get to the last one when we get to that last one. -1, -3, +2, and +2 as we go into hole 8. And that hole still, as easy as it seems like it should be, averages nearly 3/4 of a point above par. Hole 8 is probably the most ace run shot. There was an ace during the Mid-America Open earlier in the year. Par 3, 171 foot. It's a pretty good incline up the hill. It's a fairly straight shot routine for throw a putter or mid-range. However, if you hit a tree early, it will drop you down into that crevice gully, which makes it for a lot more difficult secondary shot. Also very susceptible to rolls. Jake putting it right up to give him a chance. And that's what I was talking about with Adam. Saws it off a little bit early, hits a tree and drops. Luckily, it still stays on that first ledge. Definitely could be a lot worse. It'll give him a long uphill putt, as the other three put it up near the basket for a little more routine birdie putts. And as you see, Adam with the incline, the putt. And bam! Adam with the big putt. That is huge. That called for its own instant replay. We might get a star frame here, folks. And this hole averaged a 2.5, half a stroke under par. Last hole of our front nine, hole 9, par 5, 669 feet. I personally think this is one of the more difficult holes. You've got to hit this line. You can either go straight or hyzer and land about right in this area, which then you can either go left or this straight route for your secondary shot. But again, if you do not stay in the fairways, you will be scrambling all day long on this hole. And as you can see through my drone coverage, which I am learning and trying to get better, there are so many churns on these that it's even difficult to fly a drone through it, much less try to get a disc through it. You see the basket sits right on this ridge. You go deep, you're going to find a quick drop off. And Jake threaded that line perfectly. But even as good as that is, it's going to put him into the woods a little bit along that right side, which just makes it a little more of a challenge for the secondary shot. George taking the hyzer route with the skip right into the middle. You can definitely tell he has played this hole before. And it looks like Adam and Roger are going to follow suit behind George. Both throwing the hyzer route and both pretty much landing right where they need to in that center landing zone. That'll give them the opportunity to go left, which is the route here. You see with Adam, he has thrown a roller, although he's going to get tree-nied. And Roger's going to take the righty route and with the hat grab. But he's going to hit a tree and drop early. And you can see George, same thing. He's going to throw the roller. He's going to get down a little bit, but he's also going to get tree-nied. And Jake peering the line, hitting it almost exactly the way he needed to. Adam hitting the sidearm gap, but going to flare off to the right a little bit, give him a big putt, but he is putting. George trying to play safe again from where these guys are at. That incline starts to drop very fast. It does not take very much to get your disc to just to glide. Ooh, and Jake going for the big putt, a little bit of a roll away, but he'll have a putt at it. Mr. Olsen hitting the par. George also going to knock out the par. Jake with the birdie. And Roger knocking out the par. Our front nine is complete. -2, -5, +1, and +1. Hope you're enjoying what you're seeing and listening to so far. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you on the back nine here very shortly.